So if you're stuck at home and you've got no use for your tripod at this present moment, you could try this. Blanket, belt. That's great if you've got kids. Even if you haven't got kids, it's perfect. Yeah, I got a tent. Okay, come on, alright. It's all yours. Tripods, you think you've mastered it all? Well, think again. Yeah, you've been doing it all wrong. Alright, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but this is YouTube after all, and it is my channel, so there you go. But anyway, you're probably wondering why am I dressed like this? Well, I kind of got a bit sick of wearing loungewear 24/7, so I thought, why not dress up? Even though I do look like a bit of a pimp. Anyway, start the video. Here we are, 10 top tips on how to be tippity top with using that triple-legged thing we all love using. I must note that you just see one tripod in this video. This content is in partnership with Peak Design. There is a charity element to it, which I will explain halfway through the video, but let's get things started with some tips, yeah? Boom! Before we whip that out, let's start off with the first tip to getting you using your tripod like a boss. When you arrive on location, you must be eager to whip out your three-legged friend. You know, set up, get ready for the shot. But the best thing to do is to wander about and scout out the perfect shot, the angle, light, everything. Because once you have increased the amount of legs on location, suddenly movement becomes a bit more clunky, especially when you have an odd number of combined legs. Use the time you have with just your camera in your hand to frame up the shot. Once things look good, then you can extend the tripod. Quick one, but no less important, make sure you spread those legs all the way. The tripod legs, yours are optional. It's possible something bad will happen if you don't make sure they're all fully spread out. 3 is the magic number according to De La Soul. 2 is a human, that doesn't work, otherwise you wouldn't have bought a tripod. 4 is a table and you can't take that out with you, can you? But how do you deal with the odd number of legs? On mostly level ground, have one leg pointing towards what you're shooting, 2 legs towards you, so you can get closer into the camera. 2 legs will allow your legs to slot in nicely. It's kind of like a dancing partner. Obviously, you don't have to dance with your tripod. That would be mental, right? But it's not just for the sake of slotting in. It's less clumsy than if you've got one leg sticking out towards you, less chance to trip up. Besides, no one should deal with a third leg getting in your way when you're taking photos. Unless you enjoy that kind of thing. Of course, that applies when you're mostly on level ground. When it's on mostly not level ground, then the opposite applies. Dancing with your tripod is still mental though, of course. You have the 2 legs pointing down the hill. Sorry, I don't have any hills in my apartment, I just had to make do. Unless there's a severe case of subsidence, well, let's find out. No, it's fine. At first, it might seem a bit front heavy because you have more legs up front and the camera on top. It might tip over, but bear with me. This is better than having one leg forward only because there's less balance that way. It doesn't take much for it to take a tumble on either side. Pushing the camera, pressing a button, a gust of wind, a beast of a fart, not from experience of course, could be enough to tip it over. So 2 legs downhill, raise those legs to level it up, make slight adjustment to ball head, boom! That's as solid as a very solid thing. With just 1 leg downhill, you can raise it, you can level up, but it will still be prone to rolling over. While we're talking about maximising stability, thick first. Could be a good name for those thigh connoisseurs out there. Sometimes it might feel easier to extend from the bottom, but try not to do this because it's stronger at top, it's thicker. You want it as stable as possible, right? One of the things that is commonly recommended when you buy a tripod is to get one that extends all the way to your height so you don't have to stoop down for your own comfort. That's all good and well, but the thought of extending the thin parts gets my sphincter twitching like crazy. The only time I might use the thinner sections is when I'm putting in muck or dirt or sand, wet stuff, because all that water and dirt and muck will either end up in the joints or cover the locks, and you don't want to be touching a dirty lock for the rest of the shoot. Not my friend Locke. I wouldn't be touching him clean or dirty. But yes, mostly I don't use the spindly leg sections, and the thought of extending the center column usually has a similar twitchy bum effect. Having said that, the centre column on this final production version of the travel tripod from Peak Design is better than pre-production one that I tried before. It is a lot more solid and there are other improvements. It's got a tool stuck to this leg, handy. Clicky locking wheel. It clicks. This hook now is magnetized so it doesn't drop immediately. And then the center column locking on which extends, which makes it easier to access for people with sausage fingers. But that is not what this Peak Design partnership is about. They didn't ask me to talk about improvements they've made to the final production unit. I just thought, ooh, I'll tell you that because I noticed it and I thought it's cool. The Peak Design bit is right at the end after these following tips. Point number 6. If you still need to compose and adjust, keep the ball head loose so you can pan and tilt. Cup the lens in one hand and have the other hand ready to tighten up. It's so you can precisely tighten it at exactly the right moment. If you've got both hands on the camera and you're fumbling about trying to find your ring to tighten, insert your own innuendo in the comments below, you might end up moving the camera a bit. So cup and keep it loose with the other hand on the tightening ring, especially useful if you've got really bad spatial awareness apparently. Now we all know what the hook for is at the butt end of the center column. It's for hooking stuff, of course. Hook your camera bag, add some more weight to your tripod so it'll be more steady, yeah? But if you have to move your tripod, don't move it with the bag hanging because you'll look a bit of a knob. Plus it's heavy, and then because things are swinging, it might lose balance with the camera on top and it'll just all end in tears, right? So take the bag off before you move it. You'll look less of a knob also. Well, the best way is to move it with camera attached, tripod resting on shoulder like your cartoon running away from home to move from one location to another or one part of the balcony to another. But what if you didn't bring a bag? Well, you could either leave it as is, obviously, but that wouldn't be a tip. Now, if you want to add a bit of a weight and you didn't bring your camera bag, use your strap, your camera strap, attach it to the hook in a way that is secure, and then apply a bit of downwards pressure, courtesy of your foot. Okay, number 9, we're almost there and we're going to get there even quicker because this is a quick one. Take off image stabilization because when you've got your camera on your tripod, it doesn't move much, but there might be some slight movements that make the IS try to compensate for that. So take it off. Yay! Number 10, pressing the shutter button, no matter the tripod, might cause a little bit of movement. Get a remote. I know they cost money and they're used like once before you end up losing it, but for that one time, they work really well. If you refuse to buy one or you've lost it and refuse to get another one, use the timer mode. Also, electronic first curtain shutter. It sounds ridiculous, but for landscapes, things that don't move too much, use the electronic first curtain shutter. Why? Well, look, a DSLR shutter works a bit like wax on, wax off. Old people like me will get the reference. So, first curtain is closed like this, and then it opens up to let light in. Second curtain ends the exposure by stopping the light coming in. The movement of that mirror clacking up and the first curtain getting out of the way can introduce a bit of shake, which could ruin your slow shutter speed shot. So, it might be advisable to have a mirror lockup as well as electronic first curtain shutter. Mirrorless is a bit different because that first curtain is already open because it's essentially in live view. DSLR first curtain is closed to begin with, so what the mirrorless camera has to do is to close the first curtain first before opening it to let light in, then the second one to end it, of course. Those two movements have the potential to introduce more shake before the exposure has even been made than the mirror up DSLR. So for landscape, still stuff, electronic first curtain shutter, mirror up if you've got DSLR, and remote or timer. Okay, so now for that Peak Design bit. The message that Peak Design want me to get across to you is that during this crisis that we have with this whole COVID-19 impacting the whole world in a way that one would never imagined, Peak Design is taking action to help support the community, their employees, and more. What they're doing? Well, let me tell you. Let me read this in fact. Okay, so Peak Design does their best to keep the economic engines going by keeping their contractors and partners gainfully and safely employed. What else are they doing? The Peak Design Travel Tripod launches worldwide on April 7th. For 4 days, Tuesday, April 7th through to Friday, April 10th, all profits from every single Peak Design Travel Tripod sold online and via retailers worldwide will be donated supporting COVID-19 relief and combating climate change. Why does Peak Design support donating to coronavirus aid and climate change? Because both are global disasters and Peak Design strongly believes both require immediate action. In the face of economic downturn, we all risk businesses backing off of their sustainability investments and commitments. In fighting the negative impacts of a pandemic, Peak Design does not want to forget about climate change. So yes, all profits go into the aid of COVID-19 and climate change. There we are. Hope you found those tips useful. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tickle that like button and bang that bell if that's your thing. I'm off to put some pants on now because there's some serious chafing going on right here. Thanks for watching. See you again. Bye bye.